Hello again, athletes and bodybuilding fans around the world. Welcome to another episode of Primetime Muscle. I'm Tim Wilkins, as always, joined by these two superstars of the sport as I struggle with the language. Tarek El-Guindy, one of the biggest judges in the sport. Good day, sir.
Great to be here, Tim. It's always an honor to be next to you. For a retired United States Marine, he's one of the great master of ceremonies we have. And also the legend himself, Chris Cormier, dressed as a voodoo king.
Chris, we talk about your clothes a lot, but I got to say, you're looking lean. What is going on that you're dropping down? Are you getting back to competition weight?
It's camp time, so excuse my voice. It's camp time, and I've been hitting it with the guys, doing the cardio with the guys.
Nexzilla. You've got a female bodybuilder that is just massive right now. Who's that I saw on your IG not too long ago?
Oh, Olympia from China.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a physique competitor, getting better and better.
She's physique?
Yeah, she's physique.
She looks big.
Yeah, and just those quads, and she's only like yay high, so.
Outstanding.
But she's gonna be good.
So you're doing cardio with the campers?
Cardio with the campers, and it's been leaning me out a little bit. You know, what do you guys think?
No, I think you look
jawline.
You look wonderful,
I got
Chris.
the gaunt face.
Yeah.
The death face hasn't come in just yet.
No?
But you're getting there.
Okay.
You got a little bit.
I'm a little ahead of myself.
Well, speaking of an Asian competition, the bodybuilding season officially kicked off this year with Muscle Contest Japan.
Yes.
A couple weeks ago, those guys looked incredible.
Great competition. I mean, I've been saying for a while that a lot of the Asian competitors are really good because of genetics. Like I said last week, if you're born with a small waist, is the equivalent of being 6'8" in the NBA. And a lot of these Asian competitors, they have that. They have that tiny little waist with the joints. Once they add muscle, it looks quite impressive.
I've seen a couple of classic physique. There's a few men's physique, Asian men's physique guys that just look, that tiny waist and those big broad shoulders just exemplify the class.
Absolutely. I believe that within the next couple of years, we're going to see more and more of the Asian competitors in the top 10 at the Olympia.
When they get into it, they really get into it. Whatever it is, it could be a rap, it could be anything, but when they really get into bodybuilding, they put their all into it, and they sleep in it 24/7.
Well, there's a few people who know quite as well as you how the sport's growing. You were over in China for 3-4 weeks over there not too long ago?
4 weeks, yeah. I did a few camps over there. Wuhan, Beijing, can't say the other one. But I went there, and we had some great training. I wish, because a lot of it is like, when you go there as a former competitor or whatever status you are, some of them take it really well, some of them don't, but I think it's going to be in the future.
Well, here's an interesting thing. You think about other cultures, we discount, we're in the United States, and then you bring up Brazil, we go 330 million people, and then you think China. 2.4, 2.6 billion people, if half of them are men. You got a lot of potential competitors over there that come out and take it to the rest of the world.
Quickly, too. I think also, like you say, genetic-wise, I think they're right there and I get more knowledge now, because as of like a few years ago, there's not many people bring a lot of knowledge over there. But, now it's changing.
Well, guys, the Olympia season is up and running. Guys starting to qualify, and then we're looking at the guys at the top of the food chain, and we're about to get a lot of Persian Wolf comments on our Instagram and our YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow, and of course, tell us how much you love Hadi, the Persian Wolf, who's going to go on a hunt and he's going to win again. Guys, realistically, what does Hadi need to do? And just keeping in mind that, you're not the only one. As he's improving, so is Derek, so is Samson. Guys like Horse MD coming out of nowhere. He's not in a class by himself trying to improve Mr. Number One. Everybody else is clamoring for that title.
Tim, Hadi's conditioning in 2021 was superior than 2022 and superior than 2023. Now, he won the show in 2022, but I still believe his 2021 conditioning was superior. He needs to go back to that conditioning. But him and Derek both need to be very careful with growing too much, because they're not tall guys. And that waist, year by year, starts kind of getting wider and wider. And then you start losing the illusion of the beautiful frontable biceps with the V-taper and the quads. So let's go back to your 2021 conditioning. Let's make sure the shoulders do not overpower the entire physique. Let's make sure we have the back separation that we've presented in the past, and let's contain any further expansion of the midsection in terms of width. And obviously we don't want any prominent abdominal coming out, which he's doing a good job, but that's my concern when I see guys that are very short bulking up.
Well, let's look at some pictures here. And Chris, I'm always asking you this question as well, since you're our lead counselor at Camp Cormier. So Hadi was over here for a seminar, the NPC Texas, had a huge seminar, and then he finished up a couple days of teachings and shaking hands and pictures. And you see him in the gym on, I think it was a Smith machine with 5 or 6 plates on either side. Is he going to overpower with those legs, or is he going to get blocky, or what's he going to do here, Chris, that he runs the risk?
Well, I mean, I think that's going to come along with, his food consumption. So just keeping in mind all the different things that you just mentioned, you got to have a good eye for what you're trying to accomplish with your physique. So as you get older, the quads can get a little smaller, the waist can get a little bigger, everything like that can happen. But I don't know if he can get better and better in the quads, because I thought I saw a decline, a little bit in the size. I think it's gonna be more of a thing of making the lines, making the shape of the body improve. I want the shape improve, I want the body to improve, and I think he's right up there. I mean, he's never really been in a competition that he wasn't looking like he could win it, or being like less than top 3. So, and that's been throughout his whole career, very diligently in that spot. So,
well, Derek, here's what I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to give a little visual illustration. So you've got Derek Lunsford, you've got Hadi, and then you've got Samson towering over these two guys with that big V-taper, who has improved so much, 22 to 23, 23 now into 24 with the Arnold. I know this is what it looks like. Chris, give us a little sideways. This is, well, there it is right there. That's what that looks like to me, and wider. It's just so hard to compete with.
So Tim, you bring up a good point, because Derek Lunsford and Hadi Choopan, you can say that they're similar, right? Both of them competed as 212, they developed muscle, and they transitioned to the open category. Now, if they're competing against each other, yeah, they're gonna try to grow their quads. Maybe the waist is gonna get a little wider. Derek's waist might get a little bit wider because they're trying to add size, and then it becomes that battle of conditioning. Hadi had much better conditioning right here. Excuse me, Chris. Here, look at this. Hadi in 2021 was a lot tighter here. The separation glutes and hamstrings, but mostly here, Hadi had great back separation in 2021. We need to go back to that. But one of the reasons that a lot of people talk about Samson Dauda is because he presents something completely different than Derek and Hadi. So now you're talking about 212 guys that have a lot of muscle, and if they become blocky, then you got a guy with beautiful aesthetic lines there. That comparison might not fare well for Derek and Hadi. Samson Dauda benefits if something goes too wide. He's going to attack him on that.
Now, guys, going back to last year's conditioning, you're right. I felt like 21 and 22 both had, he was grainier across the chest and had better separation between the pecs and the shoulders. Chris, what does he have to do right there, just that side chest, to catch up to his old conditioning and keep that alive?
First of all, I would not be grabbing all the way down around the wrist here. I would keep this wrist, this palm on top of the hand. Don't come all the way over like that. That right there changes the projection of the pose in itself. So you're keeping that palm right at the wrist and palm area, pulling it in, getting that nice and high. So you want to get this pec, almost like Arnold Schwarzenegger used to do his side chest. Really bring it up and out. Don't get caught up into not understanding what you need to do here with your hands. But this is a very strong shot for him. I want to see more definition through here, though. More definition, and you know, and then the back double bicep. I feel like Samson is getting more definition throughout the lines of separation that I've been seeing as we get closer to the show, and that's right there can be hard for him to overcome that when it comes to you know, those last few shots when the judges are trying to make their final decisions. You don't want to have that cluttered with not fine lines. You want fine lines through there. And Samson is getting that lower back and everything. I mean, he's got a different physique now. So I feel like if that physique came to that show and you got on stage with that physique, it's going to be something, man.
It's going to be something. And Tarek, as the judge last year, this is a pose that Hadi lost.
Absolutely. He lost the back double biceps. It was clear. For that matter, Tim, when Hadi won, the only pose that Derek beat him was the back double biceps. So in 2022, despite being Mr. Olympia, he won all the poses, but he lost the back double biceps. Now coming to 2023, he lost the front double biceps, he lost the side chest, side triceps, back double biceps, and he beat him on the front lat spread, the abdominals and thighs, and most muscular. I gave front lat spread to Hadi Choopan as well. So here's one thing that I want to add, and Chris is right. When you look at this, right off the bat, right here, we detected that Hadi Choopan's conditioning was not at his best. And the biggest problem is that Samson Dauda is getting better on the back, and this is Derek Lunsford's best pose. So what does Hadi have to do? Because a lot of times we're comparing poses is you don't need size here. You have enough thickness and girth on the back. We've seen that. Let's squeeze a little bit more of the conditioning. The leaner you are, the bigger you look.
That's right. And we did see an improvement in the glutes. So he's going to be improved here. The hamstrings and glutes going to be improved this next coming show. And I just want to see the same definition throughout the back, in the back double bicep.
So Tarek and Chris, we'll just look at this one more time in the middle. There's some posing things that can be done. There's some size in the back, and there's some fine lines and definition that can definitely be done. It's one of those things. It's not a matter always of bulk. And I think if there's something to clip and tweet for all you competitors, and especially you athletes looking to chip your way up the food chain, the leaner you are, the bigger you look. Take that to the bank right there.
100%. Ladies and gentlemen, the leaner you are, the bigger you look.
Don't get caught up with what's on the scale. Don't get caught up with how much you weigh, because that's not going to matter when you're on the stage and getting judged. That's not going to matter at all.
Well, I hope when we come back to break, we will have helped your muscle dysmorphia that we all seem to suffer from. Thank you so much. We'll be back on more Primetime Muscle after this. We're back on Primetime Muscle. We're still talking about the top of last year's Olympia food chain, and that was Mr. Olympia Derek Lunsford, the previous year's Olympia, and the runner-up Hadi Choopan, and the guy that was switching in and out of that position on that final couple of call-outs, Big Steve Weinberger working in Samson Dauda, who then left the Olympia, went off to Romania,
and then Prague.
And dominated.
Oh man, he dominated. I was judging the Romania Muscle Fest, and Steve Weinberger was judging the show in Prague. And obviously, he's at a different level than those guys. We have to look analytically. Barus Tabani, Nathan Diasha, and Horace MD were there. They're great bodybuilders, but you're talking about top 3 in the world, Samson Dauda, and when he came on stage, he dominated.
You were over there with Rubiel, Nexzilla, making his debut.
Yeah, I was there in Prague, and he was off to himself a lot. I thought it was a very good look. I thought it was one of his best looks so far. So Samson was, pretty much pumping up in the area where he was like in the kitchen or whatever, in the back here. And then when he came out, did his business. Almost sort of like what Dorian used to do, is like not talking to anybody, go and do the business.
Is that a British thing? You think that's a British thing?
I think so, because these guys, especially, it was weird because, Dorian wouldn't say much of nothing. Like he did that on purpose. Like he just like boom, boom, leave, win, go home. That was it. And then he would also, I heard he would leave some of his parties, like a congratulations party, because he had to go do legs the next day.
Oh.
So these guys, I know for a fact that Samson, he and his wife is a great team. Like I think she used to coach him also. So you're not slacking at home. There's probably nothing in the house that's bad, and he's back on his diet. He's back, winning shows and winning a lot of money.
And he's got a McLaren right now. Oh man, he's got a beautiful dog. He's got the McLaren. He's driving around Piccadilly Street like he owns the world. Congratulations.
How does he fit in a McLaren?
That's a great question. I think there's a video on YouTube, him trying to get in there. And man, he's flexible too. He can get in there. But that's a beautiful car. I told him, can you bring it to America so we can display at the Olympia? He said, Tarek, you take care of the shipping then.
I love that dog too.
I couldn't imagine anybody over men's physique.
Carncosa, what do you call him?
It's a big dog.
So guys, we're talking about what does he have to do to win? What does he have to do to take this big title?
Here's the thing, Tim. Sorry to interrupt, but the bodybuilding can be a very cruel sport, okay? So if you're born with this, real small, this is real tiny, okay? Everything else looks better, okay? Everything else. The quad sweep looks better. The V taper looks better. The small waist is a huge genetic advantage he has. What does Samson have to do to win? 2 major things. Write it down, Samson Dauda. I won't repeat myself. The first thing, he needs to be more conditioned. We need to see deeper separation across the entire physique. The second thing is, right behind you, Chris Cormier, he needs more back width and more back thickness. If he has those 2 things, he is very much like a Lee Haney type of talent.
Tarek, sometimes I really think what you're talking about, and then you surprise me, and then you say,
why are you surprised?
Some of the same things that I would say about his physique.
We're on the same page.
But all right, I'm glad to see that. But yes, he's right. More improvement here, which I know he has. More improvement in the lower back. More improvement in the density. We're still looking for more thickness, but from his lower body up into the upper body, you want to see that balance. That balance of, he can bring in that same girth, the same size from the lower body, and put that on the back, which has been something he's been improving on. He came here to do the Olympia battle, and we talked about the importance of it. Putting all your energy into those weak points. If he can come, we always talk to his coach Milos Sarcev about just dry him out more. And Milos is always, he likes to push weight or whatever. He likes the fullness, which is great. But I think this particular bodybuilder if he was drier, I think he probably would have won at Olympia this year, and I think that would have been something.
Here's the problem, guys. Trying to study game film on Samson is like within 1 year showing a college football player's freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. He improves month over month over month so much between the Arnold last year, the other show, the Olympia, Romania, Prague, now into this year's Arnold, and we're talking about the Olympia in 6 months. Where is Samson Dauda going to be in 6? He's got that gives a guy like that 3 more months to put on lean mass in all the key places, and another 8 to 12 weeks to cut and still grow a little.
And I think the thing that he's doing is he's staying more in tune with that diet in the off season. So if he's doing that year round and improving year round from show to show, I mean, you can't tell me that that's not the recipe for a Mr. Olympia title.
I agree with Chris. And, you know, when we mentioned staying on your diet all year around, you have to, his fellow countryman, Dorian Yates, there's a very famous article by Peter McGov 8 months prior to the Olympia. Peter McGov invited Dorian Yates to go out to dinner, and Peter was having a beer and having some fish and chips. And it was 8 months, and Dorian ordered some chicken and rice, and he had water with no oxygen, you know? And that kind of discipline of Dorian Yates needs to translate to Samson Dauda, and I believe he is. There's also a factor that nobody's talking about. British, European bodybuilding, also British bodybuilding, we've had Dorian Yates. We forget that Arnold Schwarzenegger is in European, right? Dorian Yates, European, British, Austrian. They have not won in a long freaking time. You know, I talk to the guys in Europe, they're like, Tarek, we need this. We need somebody to represent over 300 million people here. So this guy is the hope. He's the next Dorian Yates. He's the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. He needs to carry the European torch. They're tired of the Americans winning. They're tired of all the Middle Eastern guys coming in there and snatching those Olympia titles. He is the next British dynasty for them. That's how they see him.
So, Chris, as one of the top coaches, and we talk about the OG stuff all the time. We talk about, you know, a lot of this generation of bodybuilders don't have the Christmas tree or the back definition, the low back separation. But are you seeing as much of the off-season mentality where guys are going up 40, 50, 60 pounds, and then you got to fight that scale and all that garbage you put on to get back? Or are people staying within striking distance of their off-season, on-season weight?
The smart ones, Tim, are doing that. You have this guy named Nick Walker that does that. You have this guy, Samson Dauda, he does that. And you see it's paying out on the stage. Every time these guys go to compete, you know they're going to be in shape and you know there's going to be improved.
12 months out of the year, Nick Walker could rent himself out to medical schools to study the vascular structure because there is veins head to toe at all times. He doesn't get that layer of off-season whale blubber.
That's right. That's and you know he goes right back on his diet. You know that means that'll give you some leeway. If on the weekend you want to have a little something, that's fine. But if you're spending 90% of your time on a diet, then you're able to, you know, have a little splurge on the weekend, and it's not going to touch your physique. But you're going to consistently improve your physique, and you consistently get better and better.
You know, another thing that I was talking to Chris is, on his time, there was no like cheat meal or trash day, right, Chris?
Not really.
You know, nowadays guys go, oh man, I gotta eat my trash meal, you know, so then it's McDonald's, French fries, because they think that's gonna be better for them, somehow it's gonna...
leg day.
And I'm like...
leg day, I gotta eat burgers.
And I'm like, you know, they had Paul Dillette at the Dennis podcast. By the way, a huge plug here, the Menace podcast, one of the best old school podcasts in bodybuilding. Congratulations to Dennis James. But Paul Dillette and Chris Cormier were talking there, and they're like, remember when we were at the firehouse? And, you know, we wouldn't eat as much as some of these guys, right? And that's Chris Cormier, who was huge, Paul Dillette, who was huge. Now, guys, they have trash day. They have, I gotta eat some cheat meal during the whole day, and then the conditioning is not there, and then they're like, I was holding a little bit of water. No, you were holding a little bit of fat, which was acquired 3 months prior at In-N-Out Burger.
Okay. Here's another one. If we're going to mark this is a teachy show today. This is like the Oprah of bodybuilding. Guys, I hear this all the time. I need to pull water. No, you need to pull some pizza. You need to pull some chicken nuggets. You need to pull. You need to pull 2 more weeks of diet.
What holds water is fat. What holds water, that's chemically biological. What holds water is fat. If you don't have fat, you're not going to be holding as much water.
And another major thing that if you take into account the posing, if you can get your posing guys down early and often, that's going to help you when you're going on stage and you got show after show. You got Steve Weinberger calling you back out again. You're able to perform and lose that film. That really cuts into the film, is that posing.
I don't know if I told you guys I'm working with Kenny Wallach this year. In years past, I go, I got a show in a couple hours. I should probably start working on my posing 8 months in advance. I always want to bring this up. You went back to the firehouse.
No, talk about your posing, man. We're interested in that.
It's getting better. It really is. And Kenny's
hit a pose, Tim. Come on.
Kenny's going to save me.
What about a back pose?
Oh, the back pose is coming night and day, bro.
What about the smile, Tim? The smile.
It's getting there.
All right. Look at that. He got embarrassed, Chris. He's a bit embarrassed. Nico, we got him embarrassed here, Nico.
Thanks, Kenny. No, Firehouse, though. The Firehouse is very interesting. You go in now. You guys stayed on the diets so much that there are actually the meals that you should want to eat while you're bodybuilding named after the bodybuilders.
Yeah.
The Bob Chick has a meal in there. There's a couple guys in there that have meals named after
and
them.
also, just that bowl, I think he had the Bob bowl, but I think people like Gary Stridham, he was in there. He had like 2 different meals, and it was just a big old bowl of rice, chicken. They got the bison going on with the avocado, the sauteed tomatoes, onions, and that's it.
Yeah, good stuff. Anyway, guys, Samson, it's going to be so interesting. Build up that back. Come in tighter. Come in harder. Like they said one segment ago, leaner is bigger. You're already massive. Don't worry about that scale. Just get out there, keep bringing it, and come back on the Olympia just a little tighter.
Just a little tighter, because I think he's making the necessary improvements on the back. He's adding width, he's adding thickness, but just a little bit tighter.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk Rafael Brandao. Is he the surprise factor in this year? When we come back on Primetime Muscle. Segment 3, Primetime Muscle today. If you're doing cardio with us, put the incline up a little bit or pick the speed up. It's time to burn some fat. Guys, our final segment today, we're talking about one of the Brazilian favorites. Rafael Brandao.
Rafael Brandao. Rafael Brandao.
Yeah.
Rafael Brandao. All right.
Tim, I said something about a year ago in a podcast in Brazil. I said, Brazil doesn't have a great bodybuilder with the exception of Rafael Brandao. None of those other guys are great bodybuilders. Only Rafael Brandao.
You're talking open class?
Open, yeah.
Okay.
Only Rafael Brandao is a great bodybuilder. Some people went crazy and said, Tarek, you're diminishing the bodybuilders in Brazil. You're being too critical. Well, it turned out that none of them qualified for the Mr. Olympia. And Rafael Brandao didn't compete, so he didn't qualify in 2023. And I told Rafael, I said, if you don't compete or you don't qualify in 2024, I'll be the first one to say Brazil does not have any great bodybuilder, including yourself. This guy
You're going to say this over the phone, right? Not to his face?
I said it over his phone, and I say it on camera because I don't back down from anybody. You got a problem with me, I'll be in Brazil at the Arnold Classic South America. You can come talk to my face, and you know in primetime muscle is just the facts. Anyways, he has a critical mission at this Arnold Classic, Ohio. Here's the bottom line. If you don't get in the top 3 with Hadi Choopan and Samson Dauda, you're going to be considered nothing but a pretty boy from Brazil. The guy who places 8th and 9th at the Olympia, and we all love his physique because he's so pretty, but he doesn't have the mass to go against the big boys. He needs to end this conversation. He needs to put that to rest and say, I am just as big as some of these guys. I can go head to head against Hadi and Samson Dauda. He needs to be on the first call out fighting against Samson and Hadi. If he doesn't, it will be a big disappointment, and I'll be the first one to say he's not a great bodybuilder. He hasn't proven yet in 2024.
Rafael.
That was perfect.
I think he's the perfect hybrid bodybuilder to where I saw that he took the time off to improve his physique, and I was hoping with all that time off he was actually going to succeed in what he was trying to accomplish, and that's bringing out the fullness and the cuts and everything you need to improve your standings on the Olympia stage. And we're going to see a different look from him. I think we still can get a little bit more out of those abs, making that, because you got all these bells and whistles going on right now. The chest improved, the arms improved, the delts, the back. His whole body's going to be improved at this next show. And I just want to see him finally nail and get everything that he needs to get out of his physique.
Guys, we talked about last year, though, the guys who were aesthetic, the guys who were our mass monsters of this generation, and the guys who were a nice hybrid of both. He's outmassed by a lot now when you think about, even, okay, I'm going to throw out one more guy, and correct me if I've got his country of origin wrong, Horse MD.
Horse MD is from Brazil.
Okay, so they are not, he's not the only guy. And Horse MD, top 3 in his pro debut, looking amazing, and the conditioning on his last couple Instagram updates, unfathomable. The gains, and still just shredded.
Tim, we talked about Samson Dauda's waist, right? This guy has the same tiny waist, so he is a genetic marble. What is the issue? The quads are great, but we need just a little bit more. But mostly is the back here. We need a little bit more back width to give the illusion of that V-taper, right? And we need a little bit more on the chest. He is everybody's favorite. Chris Bumstead said one time, man, if I competed in the Open, I think I would look like Rafael. Everybody loves Rafael's physique. I haven't talked to one judge that doesn't look at Rafael's physique and say, oh my God, it's beautiful. The time to be beautiful is over. Now is the time to absolutely obliterate competitors through not only your conditioning, not only your lines, but also your mass.
Yes, he had to add some pounds to his physique, and quality pounds, not just like you say, going in there with the In-N-Out burger. I don't think they have that in Brazil, but going in there with the trashy type of meals. I think a nice, clean, high calorie, high protein, high carbohydrate type of meal set. And then improving his training. I think all these things are going to show you a brand new physique from Rafael.
Well, Chris, let me ask you this. So beautiful muscle bellies there on that side chest, pecs very full, could be a little more striated, but as far as a deep, full muscle belly, very pretty. The shoulders could come up a bit. Tarek's already talking about the lats need some meat. The legs obviously need some width. Year over year, how much you can gain, you're looking 7, maybe 10, 12 quality pounds. What does he need with this athletic, aesthetic structure? Another 20? Another 25 top to bottom? What are we talking about?
Well, I think keeping his lines, Tim, is going to be the major thing. You got to keep the lines, add in size slowly, but keeping those lines and the brachialis, the triceps, and the biceps. All that area, keeping nice lines through there, adding size, improving the different body parts. The back can still stand some improvement, but for the most part, he's improving these shots, and he's going to be a lot better. I saw a most muscular that he posted that was vastly improved, and I feel like he is one that can carry the torch for the Brazilians.
So this is 2 Olympias ago.
Yes, I'm not going to be as diplomatic as Chris Cormier. I'm not here to make friends. I love Rafael, but I'm going to come after you. Listen, you've been very soft today, and I agree with our director. You've been soft today. I'm coming here to compensate your lack of courage. Okay? The reality is this. Chris is right. Oh, it's a process. We need to gain weight. We can't lose our waist and all this. Well, let me tell you, you're posing right next to Samson Dauda, who gained tons of weight and got a small waist. Tough world, okay? Tough world. Nobody cares if you're going to have to take your time, if this is a process. This is bodybuilding. Somebody by the name of Samson Dauda is going to come next to you, hit a frontable biceps. He's got more mass. He gained mass, and he still has the small waist. So I love the fact that we need to take our time. That is a process, but in bodybuilding, you're not being compared to the process. You're being compared to the guy next to you, and the guy next to you gained 20, 30 pounds of muscle. Rafael has beaten Samson Dauda. So why can't he beat him again? Why can't you add the same muscle mass that Samson Dauda did?
Well, here's a question for you as a judge, because I know it has to play a factor. We talk about it as competitors all the time. Being seen and being seen making improvements. So he puts on 8 to 10 quality pounds, keeps his lines, looks beautiful, comes back to this year's Olympia, right? And moves up from 14th to 10th. How much, as a judge, do you look at him going, wow, I don't see him in the top 5 or top 7, but I appreciate the work, so when he comes back the next year with 7 to 10 more, are you all playing that, or are you guys just looking at the bodies that are out there and shifting places?
As you judge the show, you could care less how much somebody has improved. I'm comparing him with Samson Dauda. So if he gained 10 pounds and he looks a lot more improved, but he is still smaller than Samson Dauda, he doesn't have the density of Hadi Choopan, you're going to be on the diagonal staring at those guys on the final call out, okay? So judges judge whatever they see on that day. We're not judging a narrative, a beautiful narrative of how much you've improved in the last couple of years.
So when they show improvement and out there by themselves, they're not being compared.
We're going to shake their hands and say, you're doing a good job. Congratulations. You're still not as good as the 7, 8 guys better than the placed better than you.
You couldn't have put that any more depressing for a competitor. He's going to be on the diagonal looking at the other guys. That's the pain zone right there.
Yeah. I mean, Jay Cutler made tremendous improvement, but you know, it took him years and years to get close to Ronnie Coleman, and then when he won, he didn't beat the best of Ronnie Coleman, and he's the first one to say it. This is professional sports. There's money on the line. The best guy wins. We don't care about a narrative.
But there you go, right there.
There you go.
All right. We have always so much to say about what's going on and who needs to do what.
Yep,
like,
always.
subscribe, share. Tell us your thoughts on Hadi, Samson, Rafael Brandao. And you know, if you're in the Brazilian bodybuilding scene and Horse MD and everybody else, rattle off a few more. We'll look them up. We'll talk about them and talk about who's coming up. I would love to know that. We love your comment. For the most part, we love your comments.
And he is not a doctor.
He is not a doctor, nor is he a horse.
Horse MD stands for Horse Marcelo De Angelis. That's his name.
So we do love your comments, your interaction, and sharing with us. For the most part, right, Tarek?
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, listen, I'm very passionate. I want everybody to do well, but the bottom line is only one guy wins. Show up and win the show.
Well, Tarek Gindi, our very own Nextzilla. Guys, as always, a pleasure. This flies by so much.
We're having fun.
We're having fun, and we hope you're all enjoying it. Send us in your segment ideas as well. If you think there's someone or something that we should focus on for a few minutes, we would love to do that. As always, joined by these two studs. Chris Cormier.
Thank you, Tim.
Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you today.
Tarek Gindi, always a pleasure.
We're here.
Tim Wilkins for Primetime Muscle. We'll see you next time.